Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, quarterback competition. You think this is the right move for the 49ers this offseason?
No. I mean, here's the thing. Here's the argument. Well, Trey Lance was given the job. He needs to compete. This was a conversation I actually had on Twitter. He needs adversity. And so I sat back and I tried to think of Trey Lance's time with the 49ers. And if I were to describe it in one word, I might just use the word adversity. I don't think he needs adversity. I think he needs reps. He needs to have practices that are good back to back to back so he can feel good about himself and get back into playing and show that he could potentially still be the guy. He doesn't need to compete. He just needs more time to develop. Right. He's lost so much time. So I don't have a problem with competition. And I'm also not worried that Sam Darnold's going to beat Trey Lance. I don't see that happening. But every snap that you take away from Trey Lance, we've seen Trey Lance grow significantly in little spurts with little bits of game time or little bits of practice time. So if you're willing to take away 30% of those snaps, 40%, whatever that number is, it's too much. Because if this guy has to start for you for 4 weeks, is what it might be, but you don't have any trust in him, and he ends up being your guy, and you took those reps away from him, you're only hurting yourself in the long run. So, no, it's definitely not the right move under any circumstance. And to have any belief in Sam Darnold after 55 games, but having zero belief in Trey after 3, that's just laughable.
Yeah. To me, this is where I'm critical of Kyle. I've been critical of Jed a lot in this show, but to me, this is Kyle. Like, Kyle falls out of love with players really quickly, not just quarterbacks. I feel like there may be some of that going on with Lance. Like, maybe he hasn't written off Lance, but he's like, man, you're like any quarterback on the roster to me. And then with Darnold, it's like you liked him in 2018 and he played well for a month and a half last year. Not even super well, but okay. And you're like, you know what? I think I can make him into Brock Purdy plus. It's like, whoa, dude. Like, I don't know how realistic you're being here.
I mean, let's just look at Sam Darnold on the surface. As far as physicality goes, I don't think he's much off of Trey Lance. But one thing that we've seen from Trey Lance in the short amount of time is he's not a bad decision maker. He doesn't make poor decisions repeatedly. Sam Darnold, I don't care what the weapons are around you. I don't care how bad the coaches are. There's 2 things that you can always figure out from a quarterback. Are they a good decision maker? Because decision making doesn't have to do with those things. You're either a good decision maker or you're not. And can you navigate a pocket? I don't think he has a problem navigating a pocket per se, but he's a really, really bad decision maker. He's always been a bad decision maker. And once you have that and that's in your DNA, that's who you are. So Sam Darnold's not going to all of a sudden make good decisions. Do I think Sam Darnold could play his best football of his career with everybody around him that he has here? 100%. But do I think that he's still going to make sound decisions in tense situations? No, I have no belief in that. There's no reason to believe in that.
Yeah. And so I just don't see how this makes the Niners better. I mean, it seems like for Trey Lance, he just, like you said, he needs all the reps he can get, and he's not going to get them. Like, they're putting him in this situation where they knew he was a project, but to get on the field, he keep having to pass these arbitrary tests. Like, you have to be better than this guy right now. Well, what if he's not? Like, what if he loses the competition to Darnold? I mean, why does that even matter? You drafted him knowing he was a project who needed time, but you won't give him time because he's not better than some guy who's, has more experience in him. Also, even if Darnold wins the competition, it's practice. That doesn't mean that Darnold's necessarily going to be good in a game. So it just seems like you're, again, setting him up for failure. Like, you're putting Trey Lance, who hasn't played a lot of football, coming off a major injury, against a 25-year-old vet who has played a lot of football. There's a very real possibility that Darnold outshines him for a month in training camp. What does that prove? That Darnold is the guy that you need to be spending more effort on, that need to be starting week 1? So, no, it's not the right thing to do. I think it's stupid again, but it does show that Lance has very little support in this organization, if any. And he has about as much support right now as Sam Darnold does, which is crazy. And I listen to what they said about Sam Darnold. Listen to what they said about Trey Lance. They are talking way nicer about Darnold right now than they are about Lance, which is crazy.
It blows my mind. The proactiveness is crazy to me. The lack of proactiveness. Everything is so reactive. And when I look at it and say, okay, like my thought was always this, hey, I'm not saying that Trey Lance week 1 wins you a lot of games, but I think Trey Lance week 18 is a completely different quarterback if he plays a whole season. So let's take that back a step. All right, well, you may only need Trey Lance for 4 games, and maybe you're fully in on Brock Purdy. That's fine. But do I think Trey Lance day 1 of OTAs versus week 4 could be a completely different quarterback if you just pour everything into him? Sure, I do. Do I think Sam Darnold day 1 of OTAs versus week 4 is going to be a completely different quarterback than what he's been in the past? Absolutely not. So why am I wasting my time? That makes 0 sense to me. 0 cents. So I don't know. No, it's a horrible decision. It's stupid.
Yeah. It just kind of feels to me like Kyle Shanahan maybe hasn't said it out loud. But I feel like he's over Trey Lance. He doesn't want to do the Trey Lance project anymore. And that doesn't mean that he necessarily is all in with Brock like John Lynch is. But I feel like, and I don't know if he's even said it to Jed, because I think, he convinced Jed to do the trade. Maybe he's telling Jed, like, I still like Lance. But I think privately he's thinking, I bet I can win with Sam Darnold. And this is where Kyle's arrogance gets me. It's like, dude, I bet you can't. Let's see who's right. You think you can? Start him week 1. I freaking dare you, dude. I freaking dare you. Start Sam Darnold and see how far you go this season with Sam Darnold as your starting quarterback. Because there's a very likelihood that he'll be terrible. Jimmy Garoppolo will be decent. Be Jimmy Garoppolo in Vegas. He'll look like he won. He was smarter than you. I was smarter than you. Like, you're really opening yourself up to some serious criticism that you don't need. I dare you to start Sam Darnold. But you know how Kyle is. You got to lie. It's one of the things that's cool about it. He doesn't care. He doesn't freaking care. He'll do it if he thinks it's the right thing to do. Now, maybe Jed York at the very last minute will be like, dude, our fans will really be mad at me if you do this. So no, that's the one thing. Maybe Jed thinks if fans get mad, Jed will step in at the last minute. That'll be the only thing. But I also can convince you.
I will say that I do think that Kyle left himself an out, a sneaky little out here. So he said that they're like, well, because somebody asked, and it may have been you, well, how much, like, is this going to be a 50-50 thing? And he said, well, we're going to have to take it step by step. We'll see after OTAs. Then we'll see after, mini camp. Then we'll just see. So basically what he's saying is, hey, as long as these two remain close, they're going to get 50-50 snaps. But if one comes out, Darnold or Trey is the way that I read it, comes out and immediately looks better, well, they're going to get most of the first team snaps. So Trey may they may get into actual training camp and Trey may only get 10% of snaps based off OTAs. Who knows? Or vice versa.
How long will it take for George Kittle to start campaigning for Sam Darnold?
Oh, he probably already is.
Publicly. In a press conference. It's going to happen.